The Boston Celtics this year they have just been the best team in the NBA so far, and they haven't been getting really the recognition you would expect for a team in Boston for this hot of a start for them to have and them not get talked about, which is kind of unprecedented for anyone in Boston. Usually they get coverage no matter how good or bad they are, just due to the fact that they are Boston. But they really haven't got as much media coverage as you would expect because they have been so good. And that is very much due to the fact that they have one of the best rosters in the entire NBA, and their GM deserves all of the credit in the world, as if you really break down their entire roster from stars to starters to their bench, it is good in every single way. Because if you start with their stars, they have Jason Tatum right now, who is playing as good as any player in the NBA and is right there in the MVP conversation right now. He has been having by far his best year of his career, averaging 31 points per game, 1 steal per game, 1 block per game on 7 rebounds per game. And with this breakout year, he is breaking into the likes of Kevin Durant. He's getting into that type of conversation with those big names in the league, and that's why he is on the MVP ladder and might be even leading the MVP ladder right now. Now, yes, you could debate other players, obviously, but Jason Tatum is right in the thick of things, and I think for sure he is going to be in contention for it, especially if he stays healthy and this team can keep winning games at the level that they're winning them. He's definitely going to be in the conversation at the end of the season as well. And Jason Tatum is just pretty much not single-handedly due to how good this roster is, but even if this team wasn't as good as it is, with how good he's playing, the Boston Celtics would be single-handedly getting 1 games due to how good Jason Tatum has been. But even if you go look at the other half of this star duo, they have Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown has also been off to a career start, averaging his career highs in points per game, assists per game, rebounds per game, free throw percentage, and field goal percentage. And he has been a great second option for this Boston Celtics team. He plays very good defense, he's a very good athlete, and he just does everything you want. He scores, plays defense, rebounds, just all around a great player for this team, and they are showing that they're pretty much playing together at the highest level they ever have. Jason Tatum and Brown have played together for years at this point. They know exactly how each other play. They have great chemistry together, and that is showing, as they are both probably the best duo in the entire NBA right now, and I don't think that one's even that close. When it comes to wing duos, they have to be the best right now. I couldn't even think of someone that would even come close to comparing with them and saying that they are better. And there's definitely no one you can say that is just outright better than them when it comes from a wing perspective. You might be able to debate a few teams, but you definitely cannot say that any of them are just better no matter what. And then even if you go outside of the starters and zoom out the lens just a little bit on the entire roster, and you look at the other 3 starters they have on this team, none of the 3 are bad players, and none of the 3 are liabilities in really any way. As their third guy is Marcus Smart, who is an elite defensive player, and although he's not ever going to be a great, amazing scorer, he's one of those extremely high energy guys that is going to do all the dirty work for your team. He's going to get into the head of the other teams. He's going to do pretty much everything that doesn't show up on the stat sheet while playing at elite defense. He was the defensive player of the year last year for a reason, and he is definitely kind of putting on an encore performance and being that elite defender once again, and he's just an absolute pest to have guarding you at all times, and no one wants to go against a player like Marcus Smart, and for that being your third guy on your starting lineup is very impressive. And then they also have Al Horford, who has remained a very high level veteran presence on this team. He knows how to win, he's been around the league for so long, and he's just a very solid player, and really he has even improved due to how good Tatum has been, as right now he is averaging by far his best effective field goal percentage of his entire career, showing that Al Horford is getting the easiest, most open shots of his career due to how good Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been playing this year, and their system is just running like clockwork, and it has looked very fun, to the point to where even veterans like Horford are having career high averages in certain categories. And then their last starter on their lineup is Grant Williams, and Grant Williams plays at a very good kind of pace for their 5th option. He's not a great individual scorer, but he is an absolute sniper from the 3-point line, averaging 48% from the 3-point line this season, and just really helps take pressure off of guys like Tatum and Brown and even Horford, because now they have to spread the floor on defense. The defense has to spread themselves even thinner, and it makes it that much harder to guard their stars on its team, and it just makes it that much easier for everyone else on the roster, and every team wants a sniper like Grant Williams, and that is exactly what Boston has in him. And then even zooming out a little bit more and looking at their bench almost has no fall off, as well as off their bench as their sixth man, they have Malcolm Brogdon. And Malcolm Brogdon was probably one of the most under the radar additions of the entire offseason. I loved it when it happened. I made videos about it, and he has been everything the Boston Celtics wanted, as he is one of the best six men in the entire NBA this year, averaging 14 points per game, 3.5 assists per game on 4 rebounds per game, and he's also doing it on very solid efficiency as well. And to have a player at the level of Malcolm Brogdon being your sixth man is insane. Malcolm Brogdon at one point in his career was an all-star level player, and he still has all the potential in the world to go out and give you 20 points any given night off the bench as well. And just to have an offensive level player like Malcolm Brogdon off your bench is almost invaluable, because you can take Tatum out and still potentially have zero drop off. Now, yes, Tatum is better, don't get me wrong, but Malcolm Brogdon is talented enough to fill in that gap almost seamlessly, and he's just been a perfect fit. And I think that was probably one of the most underrated moves of the entire offseason, if not the most underrated move that not that many people really talked about. And then even after Malcolm Brogdon, they have another guy like Derek White, who is another very good guard off this bench. And Derek White, once again, is a very, very solid scorer as well. He can score for himself. He's a very solid playmaker, and he just does so many things. And both of these guys together, they have to be the best guard backcourt in the entire NBA. I refuse to believe there's two better guards off of anyone else's bench right now. They are so good and they work so good together. They're both so talented on offense. For these to be your sixth and seventh men is one of the most impressive feats in the entire NBA. And just congrats to Boston for being able to get two guys like this and not give up anything really. Brogdon got traded for like a bag of chips. Same with Derek White. And it has been so impressive to see how good they've both been off the bench. And that is why they have one of the best bench units in the entire NBA. And then they even have a veteran like Blake Griffin coming off their bench, who, although is a complete shell of what he used to be, is still a very good veteran presence to have, and all around in spot minutes is a plus player for this team from a leadership perspective. And even he's solid in a few okay, like 2 5-minute stretches a game, things like that. Blake Griffin is still a solid okay player off your bench. So they have great veterans, great players off their bench. They have the star talent to do it. They have the roster build to do it all the way throughout, and they even have other solid guys off their bench as well. It's not like these are the only ones. They also have like guys like Peyton Pritchard, Luke Cornett, and a whole bunch of other solid guys as well. So it's not by any means just these guys. Robert Williams is another one. So I mean, this team is still very, very solid and all the way through very, very good, and they have been extremely good. But even with how good this roster has started off from a record standpoint, they easily could have an even better record this year, as almost all of their losses, which is only 3, have been very, very close and been within, I think, 10 points, and another one was within like 1 point. So they easily could almost be undefeated this year. They really only have one loss that was legitimate, and outside of that one loss, the other 2 were very close and could have went either way at any point in the game. So I think for sure this team, even though with how hot they've been, could be even better, and they're just showing the tip of their iceberg. I think by playoff time, this team is going to be running at a whole nother level. They're probably going to be the best team in the NBA, and if I had to pick, they're at least my second favorite team to win the NBA Finals. Milwaukee would be the only one above them, and right now they're playing better than Milwaukee, so I'd probably have them as my favorites to win the NBA Finals this year. And one last thing that I didn't even touch on right now to make this team even better, Robert Williams is still returning and recovering from a knee injury. So when he returns, they're going to be even better off their bench, or even when he starts, they're going to make him even deeper once Robert Williams comes back. So that's going to add a whole nother dynamic to this team. And this Boston Celtics team, even though with how good they have been, are going to get even better as the year goes on. As Malcolm Brogdon gets more comfortable, as Robert Williams returns, this team is only going to get better and better. So I think for sure the best basketball from Boston has yet to be seen, which is a very scary thought coming from a team that has the best record in basketball right now. But unfortunately, guys, that's my video. So comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think Boston's the best team? Do you think they're the finals favorites? Do you think they're a super team? Any of your thoughts in the comment section below. If you did like the video point, hit the like button and subscribe button. It would mean the absolute world to me. And I hope you have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. See you. Have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.